friends, I'm Amy and this is A-Star Reads, and it's time for the Game of Bookish Life for April. And this is a really exciting month because this is the month I'm going to be picking the giveaway winner for the first quarter of the Game of Bookish Life since I've implemented the viewer prompt rule. Yes, that's what it is. It's a viewer prompt rule. So I've gone through all the videos. I've collected the number of times that you've submitted the books that you read for the viewer prompts with only one possibility for each month. I loved hearing about your thoughts on these different books, the ratings that you gave them, and everybody has the possibility to have 3 entries if you submitted for all 3 months. Some have 2 entries, some have 1 entry, depending on whether or not you're able to make it back and submit your books to the videos. So without further ado, let's find out who our giveaway winner is. I didn't end up actually counting all of them because there were so many submissions and a lot of you actually submitted all 3 months. So thank you for that. And without further ado, let's find out who the winner for the Q1 viewer prompt is. Sims and Dragons. Congratulations. That is really, really exciting. I am very excited to get a book to you. So how are we gonna do this? If you could send me a message on my Instagram, Sims and Dragons, and let me know what your wish list or how you wanna go about getting a book to you. I think that might be the easiest way to get in contact with me. So go to my Instagram, it's linked in the description box down below, and send me a message on there. And then we can figure out how to get your book to you. So congratulations. For the rest of you, of course, please submit for the next 3 months as much as you can. And I will be doing another viewer prompt subscriber giveaway at the end of Q2. So this is something I plan on doing at the end of every single quarter. So if you haven't done it or you haven't been able to be consistent, I mean, you could be as lucky as Sims and Dragons if you are able to get those on there. So again, thank you so much for everybody who participated. This was a lot of fun. It was just really cool to see everybody's excitement and reaction for this particular change in the game. I think it's been a lot of fun and it's been helping me out a lot. I've been getting through the board very quickly. Thank you. Also, in March, one of my prompts led me to a giveaway for one of you, one of my subscribers, and the winner was Pens and Books. And I did do a little shorts video to announce that. And Pens and Books, please contact me either through Instagram, send me a message through Instagram, or if you could email me at my astarreads@gmail.com. I'm having issues with the wish list, so please send me a message so I can get a book to you because you are the winner. Okay, so to be honest, for the month of March, the only thing I actually read or did, because I didn't yet read Fourth Wing, I haven't yet read The Prison Healer. I did end up finally getting The Day of Fallen Night. It wasn't a very good copy, so I'm possibly gonna have that sent back, and I don't know, we'll see. It depends on how lazy I actually am. They sent me a brand new copy and it was flawed, quite flawed. I did film my try chapter in a coffee. I just haven't had a chance to edit it because it's been a very busy month. And so I'm hoping to get that try chapter in a coffee video out very soon. One of the next few videos, because I still have to get this video out. I have to get a Sunday Sum Up out. Like I gotta get a few other things done, but once that's done, that try chapter is done. Like I actually did it. I'm very happy about that. I am planning on reading these. These are still books that are here on my active TBR. And I have been pulling from my active TBR when I've been doing certain challenges or in this past month, Spring Into Reading-a-thon, which I did a great job. I ended up reading a lot of books for that. 10 books. Like I had 11, including audiobooks. I had 11 books that I read this past month. So that was a really good reading month. I just didn't get to all the books on my physical TBR, but they're all still here and they're all books that I still plan on reading. So it's not like I picked the books for this TBR game and then they never crossed my path again. But as I had mentioned in January, no punishments for me. And that has been making my reading go a lot easier. So if you've never seen my game before, you'd like to know more information, go back to January. I will link a playlist up here. You can see all my rules. I did a lot of updates this year, so please go back and check that out and see what my game is all about because I'm gonna get right into gameplay. So first and foremost, I did get over 10 viewer prompt submissions from you. So my first move will be those 10 spots that I get to move forward thanks to you. All right, so unless anything goes a little wacky, I'm going to be having 4 prompts today. And the very first prompt is gonna be thanks to you, the 10 spaces I get to move forward. Let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Setting equals a country I have never been to. Okay, I really like this prompt. Setting is a country that I've never been to because I've traveled the world. Not everywhere. I've traveled a lot of different places, but there are many, many, many countries that I have never been to. So this first prompt is to read a book that has a setting in a country that I have not yet traveled to. And for that, I have chosen The Bandit Queens by Parini Shroff because this is a book that I I've just been wanting to read for a very long time. That's why it's on my 45 before 45 list. It's a book that I need to read for something you'll see later on in this video as well. This was a gift from my friend Christine. She was like, this sounds like a really good book. So The Bandit Queens by Parini Shroff is about this woman whose husband goes missing, and everybody in the village she lives in thinks that she killed him. So the women of the village start coming to her to be like, hey, you killed your husband, help me kill mine. And a bit of a spoiler, I have actually already started this because I'm using it for something else. I'm using it for Spring Into Reading-a-thon, and I'm using it for TBR Trail, the quest, which I will tell you my TBR for that later on in the video. Considering how many books I have from my other TBRs that I haven't yet been able to get to this year, I don't mind that I've started this and I'm putting it on this TBR. I think it's just gonna work out for me. And this book works really well for this prompt because this is set in India and our author is of Indian descent. Okay, with that, I get to spin for my first spin, my second prompt. Here we go, let's see what happens. 3, okay. 1, 2, 3. Oldest, oh no. Oldest published book. Well, that's a challenging prompt. Not exactly what I was hoping for. Because usually when this prompt comes up, I have quite a few Greek tragedies or Greek stories on there that are at the top. So I am not going to pick up the Iliad. And I did want to go with something that I physically own. So I actually do own Antigone, Oedipus the King, and Electra by Sophocles because my friend Jezzy sent this to me a while back. And I think it would be great to read this. It's not big. There are 3 short stories, and they would give me a lot of information about 3 very famous characters in history that are brought up a lot in retellings, so much in retellings. So Antigone, Oedipus, and Electra especially. There's a recent book about Electra, not that recent, a couple of years. I think this will be a much easier choice for me, and hopefully it will read in a way that I'm able to get into it, I'm able to enjoy this, and then be able to pull from this in the future when I, like, what was the original text? What was it all about? There is a lot of notes and stuff, so I get to see what other people were thinking about when they were reading this. There's quite a few. Let's see, where are they? What was it? Maybe they only read one story. Did they read Antigone? Yeah, there's a whole bunch of notes by somebody who read Antigone. I don't know if they read the other 2 stories because I don't see any notes on those ones, but I'll get somebody's personal thoughts about Antigone. I think that this is a good choice for this particular prompt and not too painful. Okay, let's go with spin number 2, which is actually our prompt number 3. 10. Oh, okay. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Death Roll chooses what? Okay, and this one, I'm going to use the genre because this is Death Roll chooses. And, okay, that's not as exciting, but that's okay. Because light green is YA other. So any YA book other than fantasy, and we'll let the Death Roll choose. Death Roll! Oh my gosh, okay, so Death Roll is an idea that I got from my friend Paige's partner, Ash. I mean, I got it from Paige, but Paige got it from Ash. And I've been doing it for a while. It's so much fun, and it's a very interesting concept. And I'll explain it briefly. You'll see it in the video, but I do like to speed up the videos because it takes a while to determine the winner. So you take a certain number of books, and in this case, I chose 6. This was dependent on the genre, which is YA other. I know it's a type of book, not necessarily genre. So this is anything other than YA fantasy. That is YA. So I did like YA fiction, I did YA sci-fi. Did I do any other kinds of YA? I had a YA romance on there. So then I set them all out. I have a coin or something that moves from one object to the next, and I use a random number generator to move the coin around as we count down from 1,000. So the random number generator on their first book will start with 1 to 1,000. And then you hit the random number, say it comes up with 555. You move the coin to the next book, you change the random number generator to 1 to 555, hit randomize again, say the next number that comes up is 50. You move the coin to the next book, change the random numbers to 1 to 50, generate next number's 10, 1 to 10. So you keep moving the coin around every single time you change the range of the random numbers. And as the numbers are decreasing and I'm moving from book to book, I'm trying to get to the number 1. So I may get to a point where I have like a range of 1 to 3 and it lands on the number 1. whatever book the coin is on when it lands on number 1, that book is out. And then you start the whole thing over again. So then you start with the next book and you go from 1 to 1,000 and you work your way down until you get to the number 1. So each time you land on a number 1 that's randomly generated, that book gets eliminated. And you go all the way until you only have one book left, the only book that didn't get eliminated, and that is the winner. So let's go and take a look at what happened when I actually did this. Well, I know Lyanna's going to be excited about this because this was a gift from my friend Lyanna. It's a book she absolutely loves, Rabbit Cake by Annie Hartnett. And I have wanted to get to this. And there's been a couple of instances where I've been like, oh, maybe I can read that. And then it just didn't necessarily work out. It's on my TBR. It's going to be one of the books I get to at some point in the near future. I say that. It should be this month, right? We'll see. We'll see. I just have a lot more. But I'm going to get to this, Lyanna. I'm so excited for it because it's a coming-of-age story. And I love coming-of-age stories. And it's about this scientific-minded child who loves facts, who loves things that are very unique about nature and about the world around us. And in her own personal life, though, there has been a huge tragedy. Her mother has drowned. And she's dealing with the grief that she is feeling, as well as the grief that is coming from her sister and her father, and what exactly is going on in their lives together while they all try to come to terms with what has happened. And it sounds really good. And I love that this main character has a very scientific mindset because I do, and I know Lyanna does. So I think this is a book that I will really, really enjoy. It's also really exciting to get to a viewer recommended book because before Lyanna introduced me to this, I had never heard it. So this is a Lyanna picked book. Okay, we made a little bit of an adjustment and I'm right over there. Third spin, fourth roll. This is where we're gonna find out your fate as well as mine. So hope for something good. 9. We're staying all on the same side of the spinner. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Koi Cupper Challenge. Okay, I'm gonna flip a coin, and if it's heads, it'll be a book from my physical TBR, and if it's tails, it'll be a book from my general TBR that has like 1,800 books on it. Eesh. And that's also gonna be your prompt, so I'll talk to you about that in a second, but it's gonna be randomized. Oh, I didn't film any of that.
Amy.
Oh no. Well, I didn't actually film my flip. So I gotta do it again. Okay, that's just awful. So, okay, if it's heads, it's smooth sailing with the wheel of the boat, you know, the thingy. And if it's rough seas, it's got the boat on the back. Heads means that I get to randomize my physical TBR, which are the books that I have in the house, books I'd rather get to first. Tails means I have to randomize my whole Goodreads TBR, which is a lot of books. There's like 1,800 books on there, so I could get pretty much anything. Okay, let's try this again. Okay, I'll get back a little further so you can see things. I got the same thing, so don't worry. I mean, I kind of cheated, but it didn't matter because I got rough seas. So I have to randomize my entire Goodreads TBR. 1,800 and some odd books on there, so that's something. Okay, so that was a tough one because I don't get to choose. I don't get to choose, and it's all the books that I want to read on my Goodread, which are not all my physical books. This is just all the books that I'm like, yeah, sure, one day, you know, and I don't get to choose at all. It's just super random. So I went ahead and I did a random number generator and I ended up with 1,311. So I went through my Goodreads and clicked through to all the different pages, and then I ended up with Mozart's Starling by Lyanda, Lynn, Haupt. And this was an interesting book because I remember putting this on my TBR recently because my friend Amanda from the Reading and Writing Life recently read it as well and actually really enjoyed it. What was interesting about Amanda's enjoyment of this book is that she hates birds. And I love birds. I love science nonfiction. I love different informational books about different kinds of animals anyways, including birds. So this wasn't a big stretch for me. And it ties back to a famous person within history, which is something I really, really love as well. So like, it's not a stretch for me, but the fact that Amanda really enjoyed this book and was surprised how much she enjoyed it made it so I was even more intrigued. So I put Mozart Starling on my Goodreads TBR thinking one of these days, maybe I'll get to it. And one of these days maybe is sooner rather than later. So I have it waiting for me at the library. And this is based on a relationship Mozart actually had with a starling where he heard this bird kind of flirt and sing his own song with him, and they were like kindred spirits, is what this says. And so he took the bird home, and he and his family just loved this bird until it passed away. And starlings are famous mimickers, so they do like to mimic music and words, like they can mimic a lot of different things. And so our author was very interested in this story between Mozart and a starling because she herself rescued a starling. And so I think this story is about maybe her experience having rescued this starling, but then learning more about somebody else who also created a relationship, you know, had a bonding experience with the starling, and that is Mozart. So I think it's a historical nonfiction about Mozart and his experience, but then also like a nature nonfiction about starlings and people having relationships with birds that are mimickers and what those relationships might look like. So I have a feeling I will love this, and I'll be interested to see if I enjoy it as much as Amanda enjoyed it. So now let's talk about the viewer prompt, because that fourth spin is what's going to help determine what your viewer prompt is this month. And we're going to go with what I did. Now, it's going to have to be altered based on what works for you. And because I picked full TBR, I think that it would be important for you to try and stick with that as much as possible. What I mean by that is, first and foremost, if you have your own Goodreads or your own story graph where all your books that you want to read are on there, randomize that list and pick a book. And it shouldn't necessarily only include all your physical books that you want to read, unless you only put books on there that you want to physically read, right, that are on your shelf. The intention, though, is to have a much bigger range that you're choosing from. Another option, and I don't know if anybody would want to do this, but it might be interesting to hear if you do. You could go to my Goodreads, and there's a link in the description box down below, and randomize my list. I have 1,800, right now I have 1,868 books on there, so you could do that and see what you end up with. That would be a very scary thing for a lot of people because I have a lot of nonfiction on there. But it might be fascinating, and you might end up reading something you never would have picked up, and you might love it. Who knows? If you don't have your books recorded somewhere, but you do have physical books, or you do have books on your Kindle or something along those lines, for your physical shelves, you could then randomize your shelves. So you could say like shelf 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, or maybe you have up to 10 shelves, and you randomize and you get shelf number 3. On that shelf, though, you would have to count how many books that you have on there and randomize that number, because it's not like you get to choose from whatever shelf you end up on. You have to, it's very specific. You get a book that's chosen for you. If it's like your e-reader or something and you have 2,000 books on there, randomize your e-reader books so you get a book off of there. So in some way you need to randomize a large amount of books as opposed to a smaller amount of books, which is what the physical TBR would be. If you're unsure of how to do this, really make it work for you, because I don't know what your TBRs are like. I don't know if you even have a TBR. If you don't, maybe go to the NPR challenge, the books we love from NPR, and randomize that. Like, there are a lot of possibilities. Maybe you go to a list that's like best 100 books for YA fantasy, if you love YA fantasy, and randomize that list. Once you've done that and you've actually finished the book, come back to the comments and comment with how you decided to choose this. What did you randomize? And let me know the book, your rating, and a basic idea of how you liked it. So that's pretty much it for my TBR. Here is my stack, including Mozart's Starling, which I don't actually physically have yet. I'm going to pick it up from the library today. That one was for randomizing my full TBR. Then I've got Antigone, Oedipus, and Electra. This is the, you guys, hey, stop it. They want to play right now. Antigone, Oedipus, and Electra, that was for the oldest published book on my physical TBR, and I went with the top 5 oldest ones. Then I've got Rabbit Cake. This was Death Roll Chooses, and it had to be a YA other, so not a fantasy. And I got this one, Rabbit Cake by Annie Hartnett. And then we have The Bandit Queens by Parini Shroff. This is a book set in India, which is a country I have never traveled to. And luckily for me, I have already started this one. So I am getting a good head start. And I don't think of that as cheating because these are my rules to my game. And I technically can't fail anyways because there are no punishments. So let me know if you've read any of these books and what you thought about them. And hopefully I will get to these this month and they won't just sit here. And not that these are other books aren't books that I am trying to read. I am trying to read them. I'm going to try and read these as soon as possible. The other thing I want to share with you now is my TBR for TBR Trail, the Quest. It's a TBR game, but we're playing it every single month as like teams. And so my mom and I are heading one team, the Centaurs, and we're competing against Kim from Expedition Through Pages, who created this TBR, and her mom, Julie. They're the Azraes, the little water fairies, the soggy fairies. And we finally had our first live show, which I was totally giddy about. It was so much fun. The Centaurs did amazingly. We ended up with some pretty easy prompts compared to the Azraes. And we got further along. Actually, we're pretty close. It was a really good first month. And every single month we pick 6 prompts for each team. Now, the nice thing about this TBR game is even though it's a challenge, we don't have to read every single book. We don't have to read every single prompt. We're just doing as much as we possibly can and we get points for what we submit. It's a challenge. It's a team-based thing. So of course there's going to be a bit of competition, but we know that there's going to be months when we won't be able to complete all the books on our TBR for this. So there's just no real pressure, except for maybe ourselves and our teammates, to get all 6 books done. It's supposed to be do what you can. So let me tell you about the prompts that we ended up with. And if you don't want to be spoiled for this, go watch the live show before you get spoiled, then come back and you can see what I picked. Also, if you're new to TBR Trail, the Quest, and you know nothing about it and you want to join us, there's always time to join us. I will put the announcement video in the description box down below so you can go check it out and join us. Hopefully you'll be on my team, but it's randomly chosen, so you won't necessarily be on our team. You might be on Kim's and Julie's team. It's an amazing team to be on as well. They're awesome people. But of course the Centaurs are better. For our first prompt, we had to have a green book with a light source on the cover. And for this, I chose Iona Moon. And yes, I know, moons aren't light sources, but stars are. And there's quite a few stars on this. And this is a coming of age story that I recently, well, I'm not gonna tell you why I decided to put this on my TBR, but you'll find out soon. And I'm hoping to be able to get to this so that I can get my team 3 points for Iona Moon for a green book. And it's just green on the cover, so it doesn't have to be the whole book, but there's a lot of green on this book, and it has a light source. Our second prompt is to fulfill a book from our Bookish Challenge, and my Bookish Challenge is 45 before 45. That's the challenge that I will be focusing on when Bookish Challenge comes up for TBR Trail, the Quest. And for this, I'm reading The Bandit Queens by Parini Shroff because this is one of my 45 before 45 books. I'm doing a vlog that will have a lot of details about my thoughts and feelings on this book. And so this works perfectly for that. I'm already about halfway through. So I'm gonna be getting these 3 points for my team. Prompt number 3 was a free choice. We ended up winning a challenge and we got so lucky because that means that you get a free choice. And so I already finished and gave my team 3 points by reading American Pop by Snowden Wright. Prompt number 4 is your highest rated book. And we decided to go with the top 5. You could look at the top 5 and I'll show you here on my Goodreads. I went and searched for my highest rated books and looked at the top 5. I was really interested in reading the cute little male romance because I've read the first book in that series, but that's not actually coming out till May. So then I was like, you know what? I need an audiobook right now because I just finished an audiobook, and Know My Name by Chanel Miller will be a great choice for that because I tend to love listening to memoirs by the author of the book. And Know My Name is about Chanel Miller, who was a victim of SA at her college, and this is all about her experience because she wanted everybody to know her name to give her power back in the situation. Because often society and the media, even if it's inadvertent, like they give the power to the predator because they are always named and they are always the ones that have the attention put on them. But in this instance, the attention is being put on the victim and she's getting a chance to tell her story. Prompt number 5 was a challenge that we lost. So we ended up having to get a really hard prompt. And this was a trope you dislike. And that's hard for me because I couldn't think about like what tropes do I actually dislike. Off the top of my head, I didn't have any really obvious ones. So I went and looked at like typical tropes that people dislike. And a lot of them I didn't mind so much. I know a lot of people hate a love triangle. I know a lot of people hate certain things that I was like, that doesn't bother me quite so much. But one thing I do hate, and that bothers me a lot in books, is miscommunication. It just drives me up the wall. It'll cause me to want to throw my book against a wall. And there was a book that I started a while back that I really want to read because people I love, like my mom and my best friend Shell, they love this book so much. And I struggled with it because of the miscommunication. And that's Winter's Orbit by Everina Maxwell. Now, I believe that I will really enjoy this. I think I should enjoy it based on, the parts that I've read and what this is about. But the miscommunication in this was so heavy-handed that I struggled so much with this book. And so I put it down. Not a hard DNF. It was a soft DNF because I figured maybe that wasn't the time to read it and I could come back to it another time. So now I'm here to give this one a second chance because I need to read from a trope I don't like, and I do not like miscommunication. Finally, our sixth prompt is a prompt featuring sign language in some form. And so for this one, a lot of people in the discussion said that Fourth Wing by Rebecca Yarros has a deaf character. There is some sign language in this book. I'm not exactly sure. Isaac, look over here. Isaac, look at here. I'm shaming you right now. You and Cece are being really annoying this morning and making it hard to film. Yes, you. They just know when to start playing and get really loud so that I can't film. Anyways, Fourth Wing by Rebecca Yarros either has a deaf character or it has characters in it that use sign language. So I was told by a lot of people in the discussion that this would work for that, and I need to read it anyways. So that's it for TBR Trail. Wish me luck that I can get our team all the points. Oh, we also have an activity prompt, which is to take a picture under a tree reading a book. That won't be a hard one because we ended up in the forest, so we wanted a foresty prompt or like a trees or things like that. So that should be something that's totally doable for me as long as the weather holds out. If you're also part of TBR Trail, let me know in the comment section down below what team you're on. Hopefully you're Team Centaur. If not, go Azrays. Good luck. You need it. And let me know in the comment section down below of the books I just talked about, which ones you've read, loved, hated, give me some of your thoughts. So that is it for my April TBR. It's been a long time coming because between all the different noise sounds in this household, I've had to pause 20 million times. So hopefully this comes together in a cohesive unit. If you like this video, give it a big thumbs up and subscribe so you can see what happens in the month of April. Will I read these books? I'm hoping I do. I'm hoping I can get through a lot of books because the month of March was a really good reading month for me. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you later.